Hey everyone, Harry here with another nugget to mine from the 45-page, very well constructed indictment against Donald Trump and Donald Trump alone. I'll be giving you a few more of these. As I've mentioned before, there's not all that much new in here, but the thematic presentation and the supplement of some new details really portend a killer case. So there's a little more meat on the bones of something important that happened with Jeff Clark. Now that whole episode was well documented by the Department of Justice, and it's really it's just bone chilling. So this is Trump, and by the way, doing exactly what he's promised to do should he be elected in 2024, basically trying to take over the Department of Justice and warp it to his will, to not just to his will, but to the illegal outcome of stealing the election, about as big a crime perpetrated on the American people as you can imagine. But here's the point I wanted to make. We have these 6 co-conspirators. We know who 5 of them are. We have a pretty good idea of who the 6th might be, but it's down to a couple people. But these are the guys who were surrounding Trump at the end. And we know, I think Mike Pence just yesterday referred to them in very colorful language, as basically a bunch of clowns. But they were serious clowns. They came out of nowhere without any real government pedigree, but they were ready to do the nastiest, most democracy undermining tasks that you can imagine. So Trump, during this period, as always, seems unstable and a buffoon at times, then other times totally wicked. In this very episode, he winds up being forced to back down because the entire brass of the Department of Justice comes up to him and says, "We're going to resign," and basically forces his hand. But I really want to speak to the viciousness and lack of scruples and kind of evil ingenuity of the people who surrounded him. So, all right, the 5 lawyers who, again, they mainly came out of nowhere, and they were commended to him largely because they would just say the craziest crap that the adults in the room, Bill Barr had left already, but the ones who were left wouldn't say. But we're talking about John Eastman and Sidney Powell and Ken Chesborough and Rudy Giuliani, in some ways, first and foremost, and this guy, Jeff Clark. They're all going to face their time in court. Smith has made a really, I think, good and valuable decision to go to indict Trump and Trump alone for reasons of speed largely. But check this out with Jeff Clark. So Jeff Clark's the guy. He's the acting assistant attorney general, in the overall flow chart of the DOJ. And I was there. He's, down here, and a kind of a nobody, even besides that he doesn't have much of a big job. He's sort of a milquetoast guy. He's not a figure in the department, but his head is completely turned when a member of Congress, Scott Perry, puts him in touch with Donald Trump, who all of a sudden is having these phone conversations with him that he's not reporting to the to his superiors at the DOJ, flagrantly improper, and turns his head and basically says he's going to make him, Jeff Clark, little old Jeff Clark, the acting attorney general. So visions of sugar plums suddenly dance in Jeff Clark's head that Christmas season. And all he has to do, all the DOJ has to do, this is the part of the plot that we know well, is just tell Georgia that they have found some problems with Georgia's vote, and says Trump, my Republican congressman will do the rest. Of course, it's a flagrant lie. It's actually very reminiscent of the first impeachment. He just wants this sort of red meat talking point, and then he can, try to go to town on it. That is the very thing. Clark drafted this letter to go to Georgia that was just a lie, and that was the very thing that prompted the pushback from everybody at DOJ. But a little detail that I just wanted to mention. We're sort of looking more and more carefully and going for certain nuggets. And I'm on paragraph 81. First, Clark meets with Trump at the White House, doesn't tell his superiors, and according to the indictment, actually is offered the job of acting attorney general and takes it. And that afternoon, he speaks with a deputy White House counsel. And this guy we know is Pat Philbin. And I know Pat Philbin for many years. He actually was one of Trump's defenders in the impeachment, where he did what he could, But he's a solid guy. He actually was involved in the whole James Comey situation with the torture memo and for those of you who remember, the hospital bed with John Ashcroft. And he's, a well-respected, very conservative, but a well-respected straight shooter in D.C. And he had already told Trump to his face, there is no world, no option in which you do not leave the White House on January 20th. One of 50 kinds of statements like that. I'm exaggerating a little in the indictment that makes it totally clear he's got no power to do what he wants. And that day, the same Philbin again tries to dissuade Clark from becoming acting attorney general, because it's all part of this nefarious and utterly unconstitutional plan. And he said, look, there hasn't been any outcome determinative fraud here. If you remain in office, there's going to be riots in every major city in the United States. That's what, if Trump just simply stays there, by trying to do by raw force. At that point, Jeff Clark responded, well, Pat, that's why there's an Insurrection Act. So that's the main little nugget I wanted to bring to you in this presentation, and just take a step back. It is breathtaking. It's absolutely the stuff, right, of coups and banana republics. So Clark, who is, who Trump is listening to at this point, he'll take any port in a storm. He's basically saying, ram it through, be completely unlawful, absolutely trash the Constitution, and then what? Insurrection Act, which gives the president power not very well known those are my dogs, by the way, sorry about that, to call out the military. It's the thing you do if there's rioting in the streets. The last time it happened, I believe, was the Rodney King case and the riots in 92. They're just back, by the way, very rambunctious from a walk. So sorry about Dipper and Orion. Anyway, the Insurrection Act is the very instrument of a would-be dictator and a guy who absolutely just wants to take over the country by force. And Jeff Clark, Trump maybe isn't even smart enough to think of this, but Jeff Clark, who's a guy who has his ear and is surrounding him, is saying to Pat Philbin at the time, and if the pieces had been aligned a little bit different, maybe this would have happened. Well, that's why we have the Insurrection Act. So just take a second to absorb that and think about the how close we came to really losing the democracy. There's no other way to put it than that. And Jeff Clark's mention of the Insurrection Act is what really brings that home. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.